mother ever wants to see a child die. Nobody. Every mother I know has always said, take my life. Leave the kid alone. That is every mother's wish when a child is sick. And she stayed with Jesus all the way, and then gets an exchange of him, John. She stayed with him all the way also to the glory.
NCIS.
So that's why we also
your daughter's death was not an accident.
Her footsteps. To say yes, but then walk with Jesus all the way. If it takes you to Bethlehem, if it takes you to Egypt, if it takes you back to Nazareth, if it takes you to Calvary. Keep following with Jesus.
I've had to do this for years.
All right. You have another question from our studio audience. Ma'am, where are you from?
I was told Gregory died accidentally.
Good to have you here. What's your question?
My question is,
but some power group needed him to be buried October 2004.
The Egyptians for the way they treated the Israelites?
Very important question. We have to take a look at Genesis. Exodus, beginning with chapter 6.
Okay, so she called him son. That was sweet. And she looks like she could be his mother. I mean, not the age she's now, no, but she had beautiful eyes. This one has beautiful eyes. Anyway, I've had to do this. And you are the way, the truth, the life, Jesus. Let me know the truth. But just as, Ken Hovind knows the I'm sure someone sold him. They're moving you around so your good time doesn't start being calculated, so you spend the entire sentence. And anybody in that circumstance, from a murder or not, it's going to be time served because it's the court's failure to have prosecuted it in a timely fashion. But him saying that God created the world is worse than rape. So, we've called evil good and good evil for so long. That's why I'm getting back to the basics of the American Pie solution is also a mortal sin. You do all these disciplining of working out and stuff like that. Well, discipline, use that. It's not easy. Okay, this is what I want.
And we're on our way back home.
Good to have you back.
I have some concern. I don't want to put you on the spot, but we've had a lot of bad publicity for our state on the religious freedom laws. And I'm wondering where the churches and other religious leaders from other denominations or evangelicals to speak out with some pushback on some of this.
Yes, thank you very much. I don't speak for anybody else. I speak for me. From what I can understand of that Restoration of Freedom of Religious Freedom Act, okay, the purpose was to prevent Christians from having to participate in immoral acts, such as participating in an abortion. That was its goal, to prevent, beliefs. That's why when you saw the photo op of the governor signing the bill, there were a bunch of nuns, there was a rabbi. It was about preventing Christians from having to participate in the mandate that the federal government is trying to give to bring more abortion, and also I believe part of it was about pharmacists not having to administer the morning after Plan B pill that causes abortion, and that they have a religious right to go to court if someone tries to force them to do something against their conscience. That was what it was about, right? more about it than I from your state. Then, when it was passed, all of a sudden, it became an issue about gay rights, which is not what it was about. Now, what you know, I was raised in Chicago, and I just have a suspicion that this was used as a way to distract from the real issue of preventing Christians from having to take part in murdering unborn children in the womb, or, so, as with some of the nuns, from having to administer something that will kill people in their last illness. What the world calls mercy. When they kill you, they call it mercy killing. And they legalize it. And that's what it was for. But then it changes to this other issue. And then the way you saw that, and this is something that sort of helped me see more, or something of a clue to this. When some young lady in a pizza shop in a small town says, I'm not against what everybody wants to do, but I don't want to cater a wedding between homosexuals. All right? All of a sudden, death threats. The sweet young guy, she's not somebody who's running for office. She's just trying to sell pizza. And threats to burn it down. The guy from Freedom From Religion, that's his group. He says, how many are going to join me to go burn the place down? And other people wanted to kill her. And the people who owned her, it's a family restaurant. I said, where is that coming from? So that the forces of death are threatening death to prevent religious freedom from keeping us from participating in perpetrating death. Does that make sense?
Because, right. It is hard to comprehend when we have people, rightfully so. I gasp every time I see police officers using too much force with Mr. Garner. I keep forgetting his name. Too much force. Oh, and by the way, they clotheslined a lady on her porch. That was horrible. It was worse than the Garner thing. Fortunately, she didn't die. And she wasn't running. There was no flight. I'm sure she's probably been annoying before. I don't know. At any rate, but it's the too much force. Too much force is what got our attention. Don't you think it's too much reactionary force to threaten? First of all, y'all didn't do what was done to me, but you revel in it and accept that you did it. You didn't do it. I know who did it. You didn't do it. But you want to confess? At any rate, you want to confess you did it when you didn't do it. You got to step back and ask yourself, what is wrong with my thinking? What is wrong with my thinking? As he points out in a second, he and I both believe there are people born with same-sex attraction, but the thing is like what I have to do. I was born vibrating all the time, and I can't take care of it because I want to serve the Lord. Okay? I vibrate constantly. If you burn, marry. Well, I did that 3 times. And just never worked out right. I could go into the horrific nightmare it is, but I'm not giving the condemned one any credit. Because I will fly away one day. So as that young, and Father God, I ask you to hedge that young lady about with the mighty angels you hedged me about with. And all the persecuted church. Iraqi people have lived in an environment for hundreds of years, because the Muslim faith was started in the 1400s, but for hundreds of years, with those who have a religion that could kill you. This we did not expect. We might not be like you, we accept that you, and you go, just don't ask me to cater. Just like regret. No, there are churches. There is a church in the French Quarter that probably does this, but we don't. We don't. Sorry. And then he preached them a little bit. Sorry, we don't. We are not that church. That's why there's a church on every corner. Go to the church, find the Metropolitan Church, or now you can find the Presbyterian Church and the United Methodist Church and the Lutheran, three of them. Three large Protestant congregations, very revered in this country, have much better chapels than we have. Go to a better caterer than the poor little girl that works at a pizza shop. Anyway. But you got to ask yourself, I mean, it used to be you insult us for being tacky or something like that. Okay. That's mean, but you know, or you're not good enough to we wouldn't be mean enough to make you join the Mormon Tabernacle Choir or to go move in with the Amish. Okay? Just go to the next vendor. They'll be happy to bake you a cake.
I think that was what was going on. And, you know, in the climate today, you know, I mentioned this last week, President Obama had been in favor of gay marriage when he ran for the Illinois Senate in '96. He went against his no marriage between a man and a woman when he ran for the U.S. Senate in 2000.
So he's a liar.
When he ran for the presidency in 2008, he was a marriage only between a man and a woman. But when allegedly funds from gay groups was going to be diminished, he became in favor of it in 2012. Why? Because they're using them as a tool. The politicians are using people with same-sex attraction as a political tool.
I don't think the
For the
same-sex
money,
people
for
have
the
that much
popular
money.
show. That's one of the things.
I think
that's what
somebody
think
is
was
using
going
the
on there.
same-sex
They've been
attraction
used as a tool.
people.
But to
Tit.
get something
I
out
don't
of
think they do.
that the law did not intend. And that's my read of the thing.
It's like,
But what do I know? Somebody else here in the studio audience. Yes, sir. Yes.
You spoke a lot about following